The story that I tell tonight is one story that I heard in 1985 in the winter. One friend of mine had one cassette tape. He said that one man in Finland had told one story to him. And I had much respect for this friend of mine, and for him to tell me this story was what it was. I listened to this cassette many times of one friend of mine from Middle Europe who was telling the saga, who had learned it from this man from Finland. This family that this story comes from is the oldest family on the planet, according to my understanding. They're called the Bock, B-O-C-K, the Bock family. And this Bock family, they live in Helsinki, Finland. The whole family is gone now. The last member of this family, Eeyore Bock, I spent many years in a small place in India called Shapura, where he first let this story out with what he called the root language, the first language on the planet. 30 years ago, 1 month and 4 days, a few hundred meters from here, Mr. Bock gave one story that his mother and his sister had given to him. Eeyore was born in Helsinki, Finland, January 17, 1941, I think, or 42. I'm 42. And from the age of 7 to the age of 27, his mother, Rhea Bockström, and his sister, Raquel Bockström, these two women, they gave my friend one story, one saga called the Bock Saga, passed down in only one family on this planet. And until 1984, it had never come out of this family. They had kept it from the beginning. The story is one story, it's one his story. It's one saga called the Bock Saga. You can saw the story from your father, you can ga the story to your son, you can saw, ga, sa, ga. Sa means to get, ga means to give. You get the story, you give the story. This story is based in one root language, one first language on this planet. It is also a mythology, or what they call one mythology. It's called the Väinämöinen mythology. It is the oldest mythology on the planet. Before we had religion, we all lived according to mythologies on the planet. Hawaiians have mythology, Aborigines have mythology, Greek has mythology, Roman have mythology, Red Indian have mythology, Scandinavia has mythology. So mythology are stories about how we live in a time before what we call the three great religions today. These people who gave me this story, this family, they were called Asr. The sound A-S-A-R, Asr, Asr. The story also talks about some people called the Vanir people, the Vanir, the Asr and the Vanir. The story is told in 3 languages. It's told in the As language, the root language, which is much like Swedish today. They still speak it in southern Finland. It's also spoken in the Van language, and the Van language is the Finnish language today. And from a combination of the As and the Van language, they created a third language called English language. English language does not come from Greek or Latin. The English language is over 10,000 years old. is a combination of root and bond. I would like to start this story out with one poem, more than 10,000 years old, told in English. In this poem it goes like this. It says, Uden is a ring. Uden is everything or everything. Uden has always been, and Uden will always be. And Uden is the sun. So in this poem it said that the sun has always been, the sun will always be. And the sun is we call soul, solar, and our souls comes from the solar. These Asur people, they had a true logic called astrology. As, the As people, true means to believe, and logi means logic. The Asuners' belief and logic. In English we call it astrology. As is the As people, who the story comes from. Strala is the sun rays that turn the grass to straw. And Illogy means logic. The logic of the Asur, Strala, the light of the Asur. According to the Asur people, there is only one sun, and we call it Sulin in root language. In English we call it sun, and in Van language they call it Aulrinko. They said there is only one moon, Mono. Solo, one sun, Mono, one moon. In this sound system, which I'll explain in a little while, the sound plan or plan means a plan. You can make one plan. And the sound et means one in the root language, et, tro, tre. So there's only one plan. There's only one planet. And we're sitting on our mother planet. If there's no plants, it's not a planet. So in the way that these people thought Mars and Venus and Saturn, these are not planets. These are stars. And stars are not planets. And I'll give the difference between a star, a moon, the sun, and a planet. The sun is one disk. It is one shining ball. And this disk, this shining ball, shines its stralas, its light rays, in all directions through this universe. Even the backside of the sun shines backwards. And the sun has always been, and the sun will always be. It is not a star, as they say today. And when these stralas of light rays go through this vacuum in all directions, the sun is constant. It doesn't go on and off, on and off. It is constant light in every direction that you can see. And these light stralas, when they go through the vacuum, through the space, these light rays, they go forever. The farthest star you can see out there, the sun can shine past this star. The sun shines every direction, constantly, forever. And when these stralas come 6 light years, 60 light years, 600 light years, as they're coming through this vacuum from one sun, it comes to something we call one star. And star is not a sun. Star has a different name. It's a different thing. And this story says that the stars are made from three material. They're made from metal, ice, and gas or gas. Ice, metal, and gas. Three highly reflective materials. And when this strala from the sun comes and comes and comes to one of these balls we call stars, the light hits the star and cannot go through the star. So it hits the star and reflects a light back to us here on the planet Earth. If the sun didn't shine, the stars wouldn't shine either. All the stars, they get their light from one sun. There's only one universe, universe. There's only one galaxy. There are not millions of universes with millions of suns. One sun. And the moon is different than everything we see. The moon is a very special thing in this story. The moon, when we look to the moon, we always see the same side of the moon. We never see the back side of the moon. It's different than anything else we see. And there's only one moon, mono. And this planet, our mother Earth, she is a very, very special creation, created by the sun. And if you go into the space and you look back at our mother, Mama doesn't reflect the light like Mars and Venus. Mama, she's a blue and green ball, and she sucks the light down and she creates a beautiful nature. She doesn't reflect the sun. And she's full of plants. And a planet must have plants. There's a plan to this ball, and I'll explain this plan tonight. Udin is a ring. When you look to the sun, you will see one orange disk. And around this ring, this disk is one white ring. And this white ring is the sound. Ooh. It's a ring. Ooh. And ooh is female. The sound day. Ooh, day. Day is the light that shines from the sun that makes the day for us. Have a nice day today. Ooh, day. And the sound in means knowledge. We spell it knowledge, but it's knowledge. So in means the knowledge of the day with the white ring. Udin. Udin is a ring. Udin is every thing. Ever means with no end. Forever and ever and ever. And means to do it again. You restart, you refinish, you redo, you rehave. So if you ever again and again and again, it's infinity. You ever again, ever re. And a thing or a ting, we say. This is a ting, a thing. This planet is a thing. The sun is a thing. The moon is a thing. The stars are things. The trees are things. Everything is a thing. So Udin is everything. That means the stars, they're created by Udin also, the sun. If the sun doesn't shine, the star doesn't shine. So the stars are made from the light of Udin. The tree is made from Udin. I'm made from Udin. The sounds are made from Udin. Udin is a ring. Udin is everything. Udin has always been. That means the sun had no beginning. And the sun will have no end. Today the scientists want to give it a beginning and an end, but there is no end. The soul is forever. And our soul comes from the sun. Udin is everything. Udin has always been, and Udin will always be. And Udin is the sun. And in this story, nobody made the sun. There is no space cowboy who made the sun, who made the light on the first day. The sun is what keeps everything going. If there's no sun, there's no light, there's no life, there's no consciousness, there's nothing. This whole planet becomes black and frozen. So even the source of consciousness comes from the sun. My consciousness, the dog, everything that's living, with no sun there is no consciousness. So the source of our consciousness, according to the sound system and the logic, comes from the sun. And the moon and the sun, they're best friends, because the moon is also a reflection of the sun, like everything else is. If the sun didn't shine, there would be no stars, there would be no moon, there would be no planet, there would be nothing. And this is the Asura's true logic. This is how they thought. They worshiped the sun and they worshiped the moon because they felt like the sun and the moon were looking down on the planet. When they built a sun temple for the sun, they felt like the sun was looking down and seeing that the people now are building a sun temple for me, the sun, in appreciation. When they built a temple for the moon, they felt like the moon was looking down on the planet and could appreciate that now the people are making a temple for me, the moon. So for these people, the concept of the God looking down on the planet was more the sun and the moon were looking down. And nobody made the sun. The sun has always been. I'll explain now where it comes from. The story is from a time we call pagan times, from a time long, long, long before the religions. I will be playing a funny sound, what I call ordlick. I will be playing one game with words tonight. I will break words in pieces to show you how they constructed our languages, why these words are the way they are. They're not by accident. One day, the sun had one plan. And this plan was to make a special ball, something like it had never made before. The moon is older than the sun. The moon was already here before the planet came. And in this plan made by the sun, from the consciousness of the sun, Udin, it decided to make a ball that would be covered with plants, with green. Something that it had never made before, because there's nowhere else in the universe who has what we have here. This is a very, very special gift that the sun gave to us, the people. It created one egg, one hot ball of magma. And this hot ball of magma was surrounded by one sack of water. And around this sack of water was one shell called atmosphere. The yellow, the water, the shell. And the sun put this small little sun, this egg, put it off into the space. And this was floating through the universe like a little sun. And when this ball of magma, with this water around it, with this shell of, when it came to the perfect distance away from the sun, not too far because it would be too cold, not too close because it would be too hot. When he came to this perfect place to where now the plan is this magma, one day our mother, she exploded. Boom. And when she exploded, the magma exploded up mostly, not so much down, it exploded up. And where all of our continents today, Asia, America, Australia, Africa, all these things, they exploded out in the place where they are today. Asia here, Europe here, America here, Australia here. And this magma exploded out. And in the same second of the explosion, this water bubble around, it exploded, it popped. And the water rushed in between the hot magma, the hot rock. So this planet was created in one flash, not 7 days. And in the beginning there was just the rock, the granite, and the ocean. There was nothing living on the ball. And the very first sound on this planet was the wind. And from the strala of this sun coming into the water, there started a one-cell green organism called, in root language we call it algae. In English we call it algae. You can put one glass of water in the sun and tomorrow there'll be little green. And this was the first life on the planet. Not some gray muck somewhere. And from this green started something called evolution with the sunlight in the water. But the sun creates the water, because if the sun doesn't shine, the water becomes ice. And this green started to go through evolution and started to create new green plants. And in the ocean, all these green plants start to grow, different ones evolving from one cell green in the beginning. And when this green has covered the ocean and the lakes, it now moved on to the land and covered the land in green, because the sun had planned it this way. And now the green on the earth started to make grasses and trees and bushes. And we start to get a beautiful planet now. And in this evolution, the butterflies, the birds, all the living things, each one being one art. We have 1,000 different butterflies. And this one doesn't go with this one, and this one doesn't go with this one, because if they all come together, we have one butterfly in the end. So all the little butterflies, they make with other butterflies like them. The trees, they don't. Oak tree goes with oak tree. The tuna fish goes with tuna fish. Because each living species is one art. And this sun created one planet full of beautiful, beautiful art. But then one day it decided it wanted to create a special being who could live on this ball and appreciate this nature. The sun did all of this. And it decided it was going to make something called human being. Something that could live in the nature, who could live like the nature, but who could a little bit more respect the nature, could name the nature, give us special gifts, which I will go to in a minute. I'm going to jump this ring and I will come back to this, where we are in this evolution, this beautiful ball full of animals and fish and plants. I will leave this ring and tell one other ring, and I will come back and finish this story. Because now we must understand about how this planet, how the original plan was. This story comes from one time we called the Paradis. In English we call it the paradise. And I'll explain where this word dice comes from. If we look at one globe of this planet today, this mother ball, in the middle of this ball there is one pole. North Pole, South Pole. We can also call this pole one ox or one axle, because our Mother Earth spins around this axle. We can also call this pole one E. In English we call it IE, but E is a pole with a dot above it, like Hawaii, Del E. So E is a pole with a dot, and this E is the axle of the planet, and this little dot above it is the North Star. It's the pole star up there in the sky, in symbolic. So if we went to the real North Pole today, if you go straight up from this North Pole, there's one star called Polaris, or the North Star. And for us, the North Star means knowledge. Today, our Mother Earth, this pole, this E, this axle, it does not sit straight up and down like this. We are tilted over like this. So as our Mother, as she spins around Udin or Sulin, the sun, 6 months, the top of the pole is away from the sun. In 6 months, it comes to the sun. So up in the north, in Finland, Russia, Sweden, in the winter, they have these dark, dark, cold winters. And in the summer, they have these incredible, long, long, beautiful summer days. This story says a long, long time ago, our planet was not sitting on its side like this. It says that our Mother was sitting straight up and down. And we were spinning in harmony with the moon. We were spinning like this. And if you went to the very top of the North Pole, there was one island. And this island is still there today. And this island is 3 kilometers in front of Helsinki, Finland. And on this island is a place called Valhalla. And in the top of this E of the planet, in the granite, on this island, still there today, there is one hole in the top of the E of the planet. And this hole is the hole, and the E is the E. And this is the story about the holy. And if you come 125 kilometers from this hole in this island in front of Helsinki, and you go 125 kilometers out, you make one radius, and you turn this radius in one ring, you make one ring of land at the very top of the pole, 250 kilometers across. And this land around the E, around the hole, was called the Holy Land. And this story comes from the Holy Land, from the land at the top of the E, where the hole is. Israel is not the Holy Land. There's no top of the E where there's a hole. And this ring of land had many, many names. But when the planet was sitting straight up and down, as we turned like this, the sun never went overhead. If you were standing at the top of the axle on this island, the top of the E, the sun made a 24-hour golden ring around and around the top of our Mother. If you came out from this ring towards the equator, you get nights. And if you went back to the South Pole, it was 24-hour sun at the South Pole also. But we're talking about the North Pole, which is today this Finland, Helsinki, Finland. And this ring land at the very top of the planet had many, many names. Today, if you go to Helsinki, you ask anybody, where is Uudenmaa? And they'll tell you, you're standing in Uudenmaa. So Uudenmaa was a name. And Uden is the sun, and the sun was making one ring around this Ma, this land. The sun land, the ring land. They also call this ringland Asgard. As, because the people who lived in this ringland, who this story comes from, were called the As people, who had astrology. They also call this place As, hell, because the name for this ringland was called hell, but hell wasn't negative. If you look into the English dictionary, there's 60 some odd words who start with hell, and only one of them is bad, and that's the Catholic. They made hell to be the worst place on the planet. But hell was the ringland and O was the sun, making one halo, one hello. Hello, everybody. I hope you have good health. Maybe we get a little help from hell. So hell was not negative. Hell was one ringland with one sun going around and around. In these days, the whole planet was tropical. There was no ice on the planet till we fell over. This whole ball was banana, papaya, coconut. And at the top of the planet was one ring of land, completely tropical, 24-hour sun. It was the most beautiful place in the history of our planet. So hell is not a bad place in our story. And in root language, hell means complete. In German, Heil, hell means light. And most of it's helio means sun. So this story, it comes from hell. Today it's called Helsinki. And below Helsinki, there was a country called Helvetia, which is Switzerland. And below Helvetia is a country before called Hellas, Greek. The As people from hell, Hellas, the old Greek. And in the top of this axle, in this hole we call the sound oo, and oo means Ursprung. And Ursprung means the origin, where the life sprung out from, the Ursprung. And this story comes from this hole in the top, the Ursprung. So we tell you where the origin of everything comes out from. The sound P in our story, P means a circle. If you go into mathematics, P is a circle or pi in English. In E is a pole. And Mead is the center. A P and a pole. This story says that the first people come from the top of the pole where the P of land is, where the sun was going around and around and around. We are the P Udens pole, and we all come out from this top of this E where this P is, this P is. So this is the story about the people. If you put the pole into the P, out comes this, and we make one more people on the planet. So this story is about the people and where we come from. U is this hole in the top of the E in this granite on this island. Top is the top. P is hell, one ring of land. E is the axle. And the sound Ah are the Asur people who lived at the top of the E in the P where the U is, the Utopia. The U at the top, in the P, at the top of the E, where the I is, the Utopia. So this story is about the Utopia, or the Utopia. Utopia in English. It says that the human being, we came through very many steps, through different evolution to be one human being, to be one people. It says that in the ocean we were one animal called the eel in English. In root language we call him all. All. In the Von language we call him Onkerios. But we'll stay in English with this. This story is told in 3 languages, so I'll stay mostly in English because it's easier this way. So in the ocean, we were one eel, this little water snake that goes up that sometimes we eat. And from an eel came an eel, came an eel, came an eel over millions and millions of years. And one day the eel evolves into one frog. And now the life wants the animal wants to come onto the land. And as we came onto the land, we came onto the land as the frog. And from a frog came a frog, came a frog, came a frog over many millions of years. Until one day the frog evolved into one monkey. One monkey, one moon key, the key to the moon. And this story says we come from the monkey. In the root language we call him Appa. In the Finnish or Von language we call him Apina. In the English we call him ape. But in root language he's called Appa. And our first papa was one Appa. And we all got our origin from the Appa. We're all Appa original, Aborigine, Appa original people. In the nature, animals do not crossbreed, because if they crossbreed, we lose the art forms. But the sun made an exception. It was going to make a very special being for this planet. It was going to make a pea and a pole. It was going to make a human being. And on this island, at the top of the planet, on this North Pole, there come one monkey, one Appa. And this monkey, he met with one nanny goat, one female goat. This story is called the Bock Saga. Bock is the male goat. Here in India, they call it Baccarat. In Germany, you can buy one Bock beer. He's one goat. And one day, they call it one Udin thing, one thing that the sun, it made up one day. That one Appa, one ape, he came with his something called Pili. And this nanny goat, this female goat, she has something called Pilu. In the Finnish language, Pilu is another name for the female down here. She has Pilu. So this monkey had something called Pili. He had one E, Pili. She has something called Pilu. And the monkey put his Pili into the nanny goat's Pilu, and out came the first 2 people on the planet. So the missing link is the goat. And when the sperm hits the egg, we call that zygote. We call our little children kids, and we call little goats kids. It's the only animals called kids. We can go much more into this linguistic, but anyway. In the animal, they do not have something what we call sperm. In our language, we don't call it sperm. We call it sperma. S-P-A-R-M-A, sperma. Very beautiful. Much nicer than sperm. And the animal does not have sperma. The monkey does not have sperma. The dog does not have sperma. The fish does not have sperma. The animals have something called embla. It's different, and I'll explain the difference now. So these first 2 children that are going to be born in this hole, in the very top of the pole, because that's where the first 2 people on the planet are born. They're born in the Ursprung. And from this, the life sprung out over the planet, which I'll explain. So from this embla, in this osk, in this balls of this monkey, as this emblem goes into the nanny goat, it creates two children, two human beings, the first two people on the planet. And out comes one boy and one girl. And this first boy, he is called Frey. And his sister is called Freya. And Freya, she is the first P on the planet. The P is the woman. And Frey, he is the first pole on the planet. And from Freya's P and Frey's pole come all people on the planet today. And these two children are born in this hole in the top of the E. They're born in the whole E, with this sun going around in a 24-hour golden day. Banana, papaya, coconut. In a place called Midgard, in the middle of hell. These first two children are born in the most beautiful place in the history of the planet. In the sound, in the root language, the sound D. D means to suck. You dia. The children dia the milk from the breast. And these two children, this first boy and this first girl, this first masculine, this first feminine on this planet, they dia the milk from this female goat, their mother. And they start to grow and grow. At the age of 7, the son is going to give to the first father and the first mother, because it started with brother-sister. It was incest from the beginning. It had to be like that. Frey and Freya, they were the first masculine and first feminine, so like that it was, according to one logic of P and pole. For us in our story, in this alphabet, the sound S, which is A-S, S. S means Sulin, or sun in English. The sounds have meanings in our story, which I'll slowly, I won't go so much into, but anyway, I have to sometimes. So S for us means the sun. The sound Per, P-E-R, or P-A-R, Per for us in English means the father. We're all sons and we're all daughters of Per. We're Per sons and daughters. And Per, he represented the sun on the planet. So, Per sons. The sound Ma, M-A, Ma, Ma, is one sound that they call all over the planet. Mama is many different cultures call mama, mama. And the word mama comes from the word magma. We say magma in English, but it's actually M-A, gay, or M-A-G, M-A. And the G or the gay in the middle means the grund, or the ground in our language. So if you pull the gay down, M-A, gay, M-A, the grund is made from magma, and it's our mama. And gay means to give, because our mother only gives to us. She doesn't take from us. So on Frey's 7th birthday, the son is going to give the most special gift that it has ever given. The son is going to give to the first pair and the first ma something called sperma, sperm. S the son, Per the father, Ma the earth, but also Ma is Freya. She's the first Ma. And in this seed given to this first father in his E is the plan for the planet. There is one alphabet. All means everybody. Fa means father. And bet means a bit or a bet. You can also bet the hook. You can bait the hook. So this first alpha male, this first alpha, this first father of all, our All-Father, the Son gives in his on his 7th birthday, 29 sounds. The first alphabet. And these 29 sounds, from these 29 sounds, we call the root alphabet, the very first alphabet. All these languages on this planet today come from these 29 sounds. 23 sounds are in a ring, and 6 sounds are outside the ring. It starts at 12 o'clock with the sound E, because E, we got it through the All-Father's E in the seed. And this seed is what's going to make us different than the animals. It's a special, special, special gift, because our whole race of people will be built around this seed. And these 29 sounds, they go like this. E, A, B, say, day, A, F, gay, ho, E, ye, ko, L, M, N, U, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, E, A. E, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, ho, E, ye, ko, L, M, N, U, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, E, A, B. They go V, E, A, via around a ring. I have a ring. It will be shown in another time. Outside the ring is 6 more sounds. X, E, Seta, O, A, and 29 sounds given to the first mother and the first father on this planet, which gave us something called linguistics. And our first father, in his lingam, we get linguistics. And this linguistics is one of 4 things that the Son gave to the people who didn't give to the animal, because the Son created a special soul on the planet. With this linguistics, the human could name the nature, name each butterfly, each bird, each lizard, each grass, each tree, give description of each leaf, each stem, each branch, each color. The animals can't go into the details, so it was to give us an appreciation for what the Son had made for us, the people. We could go more deep into the appreciation by giving everything names and sounds. And it's the sounds before the Word. In the beginning, it was not the Word. In the beginning, it was the sounds that made the words. So this is actually before the words, these sounds. It's from these sounds we made the word. X is a symbol. X is a symbol for the tour friend. Your best friend. I'll explain tour. Yggdrasil. Y is a Yggdrasil is the ash tree. It's the world tree of all living things. There was one real tree in Finland. It was there to 1990 in one churchyard, and they cut it down. I was there 3 years ago to put my ash and my good friend Eeyore Bock underneath this stump of this tree. It was one tree that was there from the beginning of time. Seta. Seta is Z. Seta is one flash. When you have one nice feeling with somebody, there's one flash. It's a flash between 2 people. It also means much more than that. I will maybe go in, maybe not go in tonight. Seta. O. O is a clear sound. O means river. The sound A means agriculture. Female symbol. Female sound. In the sound means an island. In this 29 sounds, there's 29 sounds, but each sound has a mark for the sound and a meaning for the sound, like the sound ah. Ah is A in English, ah, like father. Ah has the symbol ah, but it means Aser, the people who this story come from. S means Sulan, son. Te means tour, and I'll explain tour in a minute. Maybe we can create tour in the future. So these first two people, they got what we call root alphabet in this first mother and this first father, this first masculine, feminine, Frey and Freya, Sampo and Aino. They created something called root language, the first language on the planet. And they start to name their sexual organs. Every wrinkle, crinkle, this color, and so the whole language came out from here to the arms, to the branches, to the legs, to the eyes, to the ears, and from there they named all the nature. All according to one sound system, one plan given from the sun to the first mother and father on this planet. One language created around nature. The second thing that they gave, the sun gave to the human being, the linguistics. The fire. The animal didn't get the fire. The sun gave to the human being, gave us the fire. It was given to the woman. It wasn't given to the men. In one lightning bolt, the sun gave to this Freya, gave her fire. The men, we could use the fire. But the fire was given to the woman. She had the control. She's the one who stays around the fire, who keeps the fire going. And fire is something we wouldn't have what we have today without fire. All of our technology, everything comes from fire. So fire was a very special gift given from the sun to these first two people. The third thing that we were given from the sun was something called mathematics, what we call mathematics in English. They say ma-te-ma-tik. Mama was given mathematics, not Papa. So mathematics was a female thing. Te is a glass of tea. You can drink a glass of tea. So the mama, she's drinking tea and she's making mathematics. And the fourth thing that the sun gave to the people who didn't give to the nature is when the animal, when he cannot walk and the fish cannot swim and the bird cannot fly. On this day he falls and it's his last day. But the people, one day, I cannot walk anymore. They can give me one stick and I can still walk with a stick. So the stick was one gift because the people could walk a few more weeks or months with a stick. The animals didn't get the stick. The linguistics, the fire, the mathematics, and the mathematics is a ring with a pole in the middle from one center place. The shadow Q comes from this. It's the sundial. And in hell, you could put a ring in the ground with a pole in the middle, and the sun was going around and around, giving perfect time all the time. And these are four things that the sun gave to the people. A special creation on a very special ball. The only one like it in the whole universe. Okay. I'm going to smoke a beady, and I'll keep talking now. Freya, the first mother and the first father. In the tribal time, this is called tribal time. Tribal. The people, we live between three balls, like a circus. We had a ring here. We had a middle ring. and we had a ring over here, and in the middle of each ring was a fire, because the fire represents the sun, and we lived around the sun. The men, we had one ring here that we lived around. The women had another ring that the women, and there was a ring in the middle that we came in, we did many things together. But in this system, all the children stay with the women until 7. And at 7, the little boys came to the men's ring, and they never went back to their women's ring. Because the boy, he would now be in the man's ring. He wanted to take man for his example, his brother. He wanted to be like his father, his uncle, his grandfather. And the girl, she wanted to be like her sister, her mother, her auntie, her grandmother. So the women took example from the women, and the men took example from the men. And what the women knew about, the men we knew nothing about. And what the men, what we knew, the women knew nothing about. Woman had her information, and man had his information. We really needed each other. Today I can do what she can do what I can do. But before, she really needed the man, and the man really needed her, because she could do something I couldn't, and I could do something. The women told the women what to do, and the men told the men what to do. They couldn't scream across this middle fire. The man couldn't tell the woman what to do. And the woman couldn't scream across the fire and tell the man what to do. That one doesn't work. We all know that one. Women told women how to do. Men told men what to do. Girls were taking example from the girls, and the boys, we were taking example from the men. And this was the tribal. And there was the ring in the middle, where there were many things we do together. This first mother and first father, they start to create one race of people. This first father, Frey, this first mother, Freya, they create 5 ets of people, 5 families of people. And the ringland at the top of the planet, hell, this 250 kilometer with this hole in the middle with this sun going around and around. They created one race, one family called Asser, the As people. And the people who lived in this ringland were called Asser, and the place was called Asgard, the garden of the As. The people who came out from this ring and who came out over the planet, they were called the Van people, or the Vanir people. The Asser and the Vanir. Inside hell there was 2 families. One was called Piruet. The Piruet. And the Piruet is the highest family on the planet. They are the Bock family themselves. Because all people are going to come from the seed and the energy of this first mother and father. And the very first boy born in this very first family, he has the name called Ra. And Ra, he's the king. He's the As king. So we were always As king, asking this As king, us boys, how to live. And this Ra, he's going to make the Ras, the race of human beings. Ra, he has 2. Ra represents the moon. And the moon has one new moon called one Sher Ra, one sea moon or say moon. And Ra, he has one decoration down here in his trousers, or we didn't wear trousers. Down here he had one form of one banana. He had one say form. And from Ra's say comes the race, the Ras of human beings. And Ra, he was the king, so he also had the say. So this story is about the king, the As king and the Von king. The second through the 11th son, these are the 10 brothers. This first mother, she has 12 sons and 7 daughters. First son is Ra, and he is the first boy born on this planet to sperma. Freya and Freya are born to Embla. They were given the sperma. But from this seed they create this first boy called Ra. And Ra, he is making the race. The 10 brothers in the middle, they have another function. And the 12th brother, he will be called Bock. And Bock in this story, he's the breeder. He is the goat. In Von language, he's called Lemminkainen. Lemminkainen. And this Bock, he has the symbol of one tree shul, 2 horns with this trident. Ra, the first son, 10 brothers in the middle. The 12th son, he is the breeder, because these first 11 sons don't make children. They're in one creation to make the race of people. The first 12 sons. The first daughter on this planet, the first girl born, she is the queen of health. She is the queen of the planet. And she is called Maya. And she is the first woman born to sperma. And she is the queen of this whole planet. And Maya, she represents the moon also. Brother, sister. Ra represents the moon and Maya represents the moon. And Maya, she has 6 sisters. And these 6 sisters are called hexa. Hexagram, hexa. And these are the 7 sisters. Maya and her 6 sisters. In root language, they call them hexa. In Von language, they call them noita. And in English, we call them witches. And these are the highest women on the planet. And these women are making the future. The men will keep the his story. But these 7 girls, they would never make children, these 7 girls. They did the astrology, they did the mathematics, and they, with their mother, they created all the future, because the women made the future. And the men, we kept the history. So this first family, Pirouette, 12 boys, Ra, his 10 brothers, his 12th son, the 12th brother is the Bock. He is the breeder. The first daughter, she is called Maya. And Maya, this is where the word Mayan Indians, Maya, the maize, the corn, May, the month of May, all these Mays in Maya, they come from this, the queen of the planet, the Virgin Queen. They create a second family. This first little story is a little bit slow. It'll be nicer after this, but I have to explain how we came out from one P and one pole at the top as we came out to Australia, Africa, as we came out over this planet as one race of people. This second family, they are called Rousset, or the Rose family. And Rousset is one infinity. And if you're in this second family, this whole planet was divided into ringlands. At the top there was Udenma. Around Udenma are 6 more ringlands, still there today. Turenma, Hamanma, Cumanma, Liebenma, Estenma. So this whole ball was divided into ringlands, all using hell as the example. And in this top ringland, this second family are called Rousset. And now when they make the second family, Et means family, the Rose family. When you make this every time that you make a new family, the sperma has been divided. So each family has half the soul as the one above it. And I'll explain the soul and the spirit here in a few minutes. What's the difference between soul and spirit? If you were in this Rousset family and you were one girl and you were to make the children, they called you one Disa. And the Disa, they made the children for the next generation. They were mothers. And in these days, the mothers were the highest women on the planet. They had very, very, very much respect, the mothers, because they were making our future. If you were not to be one of these mothers for this, to make more children for this Rousset, you would be called one Chesnar. And one Chesnar, she is one woman, one information woman. And from hell come out these Chesnars, and this whole planet was divided into more than 2,000 ringlands, and people completely lived all over this planet. And these people who were outside the ring were called Vonner people. And to each of these ringlands came one of these Chesnars. And these Chesnars, they're bringing information for the women. From hell, there was one information system that was going out as the people were coming out from this P at the top of this pole, as we're coming out, as the people are coming out, populating this planet. And these women, they did some kind of astrology. They had one crystal ball, one crystal. There's still 3 of these crystals buried in Finland today. But the government won't let us dig them up. We've been trying to dig these up for years and years. In this Musée Virasta, this museum, they refuse, and the church refuses to let us dig because they don't want to hear this story. And in the middle of these special quartz, mountain quartz crystals, these Chesnars are bringing out, they're giving the astrology, the astrology for the next family of people. And they took this crystal ball, yes, and in the middle was one prisma, a crystal inside of a crystal. There's only a few of these on the planet. These are very special. And they would put one candle on the back side of this, and this strala from the candle, this light, represented Odin, the sun. It would come and hit this crystal, and they had one dark hood they put over this hole. And on top of this crystal, they put the hairs of a horse, of a tail of a horse. In root language, this hair is called hor. This is one hor. We say hair, they say hor. And now, with these hors on top of this crystal, in some fashion they put, this light would hit this prisma, shoot this straw of light up into the top of this dark hood they put up, and they could look up and they could see some kind of a horoscope. Scope means to see, hor means the hair, so from this horoscope they could read the future of this next family of people. And one horoscope, and the hair from the horse they could scope and see. And these Chesnars, they're bringing information for the women all over this planet from this second family in hell called the Rousset family. The first, the daughters making the children are called Disa. The women who are bringing out information for the women of the planet are called Chesnar. And to each of these thousands of ringlands, one of these women are coming with this story to give this in the paradise time, in the paradise time. If you were one man in this second family, in this Ruset family, if you were a big, strong guy, because before there was one children making way. The women that were to be mothers were chosen for beauty and health. We wanted beautiful, healthy children. And the fathers, they were for size and anatomy. We wanted big, strong, beautiful, healthy children. So the men were chosen for anatomy, and they had to be a little bit bigger. The small ones didn't make the children. We were trying to create a race of beautiful, healthy, nice, big, strong people. So they had a different way of making children than we make today. And these men who were strong in anatomy, they were called Ra-bees. Ra is the king, he's making the Ras, and bee is a little black and yellow, is pollinating the nature. So one Ra-bee, he's a breeder, he's a children maker. And these Ra-bees are coming out from hell, bringing the sperma, to these ringlands to impregnate the highest class of the women in these next three families, which I'll come to. If you were a little guy like me in the second family, they called you one Nar. And one Nar, he is one information. He's bringing out information from Ra. He has the Na, the knowledge, the knowledge of Ra. He's the Nar. And Nar, he's kind of the Joker in a way. He's the Hofnar. And these Nars, they're getting the information from Ra, and they're bringing this information out in one information system to these next three ets, or families of people. So the Rabis are in one breeding system coming out, and these Nars are bringing, they're the narrators, they're the narrators. They are bringing out the stories. The women made the stories, but the men, we told the stories. As this story is today. Eeyore's mother and his sister gave him the story, but he told the story. And I listened to it. And I can never tell the story as good as him. When you came outside of this ringland at the top, if you came out of hell, you come to the people called Von people, or the Vonner people. And the Vonner people were three more families. They were called Jarlet, Karlet, and Traillet. Three classes of people. Today we have upper income, middle income, and lower income. And if you came out, each time that the sperma is divided, the Jarls have half of the soul as the Rosette. The Rosette has half the soul as the Pirouette, the highest family. Below the Jarlet is the Karlet. They have half the soul of the Jarl. Jarl is Earl in English. And the lowest is called Trail. And most of the planet was Trail. And Trail in English is called Serf or Peon. In India they call them Gati. And in this system, the lowest family, called Trail, like Australia. The Trail people, the Trail men, they didn't make children because in their balls there wasn't enough soul power to make the children. So the Trail women chose up to a car man. Val for us, V-A-L, Val means to choose or to elect. You val. In English, you can validate something. Validate, it's valid. You val. Valentines, you choose. So val for us means to choose. So the Trail men, the Trail women would val one car man. At one carn e val. Car is the car people. E is his E. Vol means to choose. So in one carnival, they're choosing up. The car women are not making children with the car men. They're choosing up to the Jarl. So in this system, we're breeding up. If I was a trail boy in Australia, I understood that my father was the car. My grandfather was the Jarl. My great-grandfather was the Robbie who's bringing the seed down. And my great-great-grandfather was the Bock who's sitting on top of the rock at the top. If I was a trail boy in South America, I understood that my father was the car. My grandfather was the Jarl. My great-grandfather was this Robbie coming down from hell bringing the seed. And my great-great-grandfather was this Bock sitting on top of the rock at the top. So no matter where you were on this planet, we all understood that there was one All-Mother and one All-Father sitting on the top of the planet, looking down on all the people as we came from this P at the top of the pole as we came out and populated this whole planet with billions of people. This is the story of us, the people. If you put the pole into the P, you make one more people on the planet. Pirouette, Rosette, the Osser people. Jarlet, Carlet, Trailet, the Von people. There's much to say about this Os and Von, but tonight we don't have so much time, so maybe some other time we make more. But this is how we came out from one father and one mother at the top as we created. And the symbol of hell, they took one tree up on this island at the top with this sun going around. And they cut the crown off this tree, and in this stump they put one metal post. And they created one metal ring made from metal with a steel cross in the middle, with a hole in the middle, which represented hell, because hell was a hole with these lines going down as meridian lines or meridian lines. So this whole planet was divided into 4 pieces if you bring a line from this whole 2 directions. So the 4 corners of the world all meet at the North Pole. And they put this steel ring on top of this peg. It was in the top of this tree, and from this steel ring there were 4 little pegs going a little beyond the ring. And they put the crown back on the tree. So there's a tree with a steel post with a ring in the middle, and from these 4 pegs they put a paper bow, 4 bows. And they fill these 4 bowls full of something called svavel. And svavel in English is sulfur. It's this stuff that smells so bad in the match. And they put the fire to these 4 bows. And this wheel would start to spin slowly and faster and faster. And as it started to spin, these 4 bows blew out. And this fire was going in a huge ring around and around, shooting fire, shooting light in all directions. And it was called the life wheel, the light wheel. As the human being, as the race of humans are coming out from the top of the planet, it represented the light as the people were coming out over the planet. And it's called the svastika. Svavel is the sulfur, the stika is the stick. So the word swastika was the symbol of hell. It's called the life wheel, the light wheel. It's one of the most positive symbols we have on the planet. Only one guy made it to be negative. But all over here in India, you'll see the swastika everywhere, and it's positive. The red Indian has the swastika. You see it in many, many cultures. So the swastika is svavel. It's the sulfur wheel, the light wheel, or the wheel, the devil, the day wheel, the devil.